how you're going to master budgeting, saving, and building wealth in your 20s, all while enjoying all the things that money can buy. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kat. I'm 24 years old. I own my own home, have 6 months worth of expenses saved. I'm a girly girl who loves getting her nails done and doing her hair. I enjoy a comfortable lifestyle while also balancing good financial habits. To give you a quick backstory, when I lived at home a few years ago, I used to spend all the money that I used to make. I would literally work a casual job and I would spend all my money just to buy the next thing. My whole financial goals would be my next designer bag, my next outfit for the weekend, and just stupid things that I would spend money on. I genuinely think there was a stage where I did have a shopping addiction, and I think this is a serious issue for young women. I genuinely think that being a young woman in this day and age makes it 10 times harder to be smart with your money. There is such a need to keep up with the beauty standard, keep up with the trends, and still look good. I think the experience of managing your finances is so different as a woman to a man. There's just so many more things that we are tempted to buy, and if you're anything like me, it literally feels like the sky's the limit. Like, I don't even know what I would do if I had endless income, because I just know I would buy everything. But in the last few years, I've come a long way with my money habits, and I've made so many positive changes that have seriously changed my life. And just a disclaimer before we go ahead, I'm obviously not a financial advisor by any means. These are just the tips and tricks that helped me as someone who definitely is a girly girl and someone who loves to spend money on the usual stuff. First things first is you need to build your financial literacy. This includes budgeting, saving, and your emergency fund. First, what is an emergency fund? This is money that's strictly set aside for an emergency. Like your car breaks down, you lose your job, there's unexpected medical bills that come up. An emergency is not I have no clothes, I have nothing to wear, and I need to redo my whole wardrobe. Although there's definitely moments in my time that was definitely an emergency. The question is always, how much is the emergency fund meant to be? And this is super variable, depends on person to person and your circumstances. A general guide would be about 3 to 6 months of your expenses. If you have kids or your job is freelance, this can vary greatly. Obviously, you want to be at an amount that gives you peace of mind that, if anything goes wrong, you've got that buffer there to cover those unexpected costs. This also depends on your money mindset and your stress about money. If you find that you're a stressed person with money, it's probably better to have more to give you that peace of mind. For me and my fiance, we generally keep about 6 months worth of expenses saved, just as a buffer as anything that comes up. The emergency fund would cover all your living costs for that time period. Mortgage or your rent, your groceries, any car payments you might have, all your essential bills, basically anything that you would 100% still have to pay for if you lost your job or you lost your source of income. So your emergency fund wouldn't be including like your nail appointment, even though to me that is essential. That is something I'd have to cut out if push came to shove. The next tip would be to pay yourself first. Set yourself a realistic savings goal and pay yourself first. The concept of pay yourself first comes from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad and so many other finance books. This concept seems a little bit strange at first because we always think about how we just need to pay the bills and the needs of right now. But paying yourself first is basically putting away money for your future self before you pay all the things that need to be paid for right now. It prioritizes your long-term goal versus your current needs and wants. Putting away 20% of your pay, every single paycheck, pay yourself first into a savings fund. This would be securing your future and not just paying for your current bills and needs. The advantage of paying yourself first is that you're not left to the end of your paycheck where you've paid for all your bills, had your fun spending, you've gone out with friends, and then at the end you have no savings left. If you put the savings amount away first, you know you've got that down pat, and then after that you can spend a bit more freely and you know you've put that money away. Next question is, where should this money go? For myself, this is in an offset account that is linked to our mortgage. So for example, if my mortgage balance is $500,000 and the amount in my offset account is $50,000, what this $50,000 does is offset the balance of my loan. So that means that I only pay interest on my home loan on $450,000 instead of $500,000. Now, right now, that might not seem like much, but if you add that up over a 30-year loan, the savings that you make on your interest is just simply massive. I'll add a few numbers here that do the math for me. If you don't have a mortgage, you can always put it in a high interest savings account. So the interest that you make each year for the balance in the account is making you money. You want your money to work passively for you when it's in the savings account. And the higher the interest rate, the better. You can definitely shop around to find a high interest savings account, and it does take a bit of research, but it's worth investing time into. The next tip is to create a budget and track all your expenses. Your budget is your plan for how much you're willing to spend in different categories. This budget should encompass absolutely everything. This includes groceries, bills, car registration, beauty. Yes, I've added beauty as a category because let's be honest, I definitely spend money there. Most importantly, it gives you an overview of how much you're spending and how much you're saving. In this instance, ignorance is simply not bliss. You need to become aware of the amount that you're spending and where the money is going. When you look at your budget, at times it literally can be confronting. There is moments in my life that I have definitely looked at my budget and thought, literally, what am I doing? Like, I am completely unhinged. But to be brave enough to come to terms with it is how you make the change. When you build that awareness, your next step and the next choice that you're going to make with your money is definitely going to be a better one if you have better awareness. Now, we are going to change the view of my spreadsheet, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of a layout of how I run mine. Okay, so I'm using Yearly 2.0 spreadsheet from Coplenty. And basically what it does is this one gives you every single month of the year, and then it also gives you an annual overview. So I love the annual overview. When you've done the whole year, it's actually amazing to see where your money has gone. So this is the budget tracker that I use. To give you a bit of a quick run through, this is the overview of the spending. This is all of our income. This is basically the income amount versus the expenses. As you can see, this month is crazy because I just paid for our honeymoon, so we haven't saved it all this month. But this is an expense we knew that we had coming up, so nothing, too crazy here. Yeah, so basically what you can do is you budget here all of your expected costs for the month. So I know that my car insurance comes out, home insurance, electricity, water, all the rest of it, all the bills. These are all of our subscriptions that we have running at the moment. Then over here, we've got all of our expenses categories. So we've got groceries, dining out, takeaway. Yeah, you can categorize these as you like. This is just how I've named them. So over here, we've got our mortgage, we've got our tax debt, and then we have our offset account, which is our savings. Yeah, so October has been a heavy month for us because I just bought everything for our honeymoon, including flights, accommodation. So I literally spent like $8,500–9,000. So I'm just going through at the moment August, for example, where we had quite a good month, our total income, and then our total expenses. So the amount that's left to spend is the amount that we saved, and then here's the amount we actually put into the offset account. This is the annual overview. It's going to give you what you spent for each month, how much you saved, where you went over in your budget. It's just an amazing overview. The craziest part is looking at the annual overview of the different categories. Like, thinking that we've spent $32,000 on our mortgage in the past year is kind of insane. But in addition to learning to track everything using a budget, what you should also practice doing, and this is something that I still need to learn, is learning to limit your expenses where you can. Keeping to that budget is what really helps you keep that good oversight of where your money is going. But you also need to learn to limit yourself. This is something that I have been terrible at in the past, but I am trying my very best to get better at. Not everything that you think you need, you absolutely need, and not everything that you think you want, you actually want. You actually have to stop impulsive spending. And when you keep tracking all your transactions, you realize that if you drop that money, you're gonna have to add that to your spreadsheet. And like, just coming to terms with that, it just makes you rethink whether you want to buy the item. Finally, of course, if you're not saving enough and you have limited your expenses, you can always try to increase your income. This is not easy to do by any means, and it's not just a tip you can just say, like, I'm just going to increase my income. But obviously there are options out there if you want to explore them. You can always try change jobs and get a wage increase that way. You can add a side hustle, whether that be doing some work online or, starting a side business. And if the current job that you're in or the industry that you're in doesn't pay that well, it pays to just make a change and try something totally new. You can always try to educate yourself more as well, go back to uni, take the course, do the things that you need to do to try get the job that pays better or build your own business. And finally, the biggest tip of all is do not fall into lifestyle creep and live within your means. How you handle small money is how you handle big money. This is the thing about financial habits, is that even when you're not making a lot of money, there's different phases of life that we all go through, when we make more, when we make less. You might be working part-time, you might just have a new baby and not be working at all. There is so many ups and downs with how much money we make in life. But the truth is, whether your income is massive and you have lots to play with, or it's small and it's really tight, those habits that you make seriously make a difference to how you handle money. People often tend to think if they just doubled their income, they would just save so much money. But the truth is, if you have consumer debt now, I'm talking like unnecessary car loan, credit card debt, you think to yourself, if I just doubled my income, I would definitely not have that debt. I know that I'd have it paid off. That's usually just not true, because those habits that have gotten you into that debt, you would probably still do that even if you made double your wage. And that's something that's pretty hard to come to terms with. Making more money is not always the answer if you haven't established that key financial foundation and those good habits to make the right decision. This also plays into social media, seeing what other people are doing, what they're buying, the trips that they're going on. The truth is, you need to mind your own pockets, mind your own purse and the money that you're making, and not stress about what other people are doing. The chances are a lot of people are in debt anyway, and you're trying to emulate something that they can't even emulate, and they are literally in debt trying to achieve. At the end of the day, personal finance is totally personal, but these tips seriously have saved me in my 20s from making some horrendous decisions that I used to make years ago. If you make great financial decisions in your 20s, the rest of your life will be so much easier. And it's hard to think of it that way when there's so many things that we can want to buy. Especially as women, as I said, the temptation is so much greater. And there you have it. These are some of the best budgeting and saving tips that I have and that I've implemented in my 20s as a woman. I literally think everyone should know this and start working on their finances as soon as they can. If you have any tips or budgeting rules that you live by, please comment them down below and leave me a little flower emoji so that I know that you made it to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.